Next, we have a 2016 question. The question reads as, it's written in a very small manner because, the slide it's quite cramped like that. I'll read it out for you. What is or are the importance of the United Nations Convention to combat desertification? First one is, it aims to promote effective action through innovative national programs and support international partnerships. It has a special or particular focus on South Asia and North Africa regions, and the Secretariat facilitates the allocation of major portion of financial resources to these regions. Just keep in mind, in the first statement they said it is international, and the second statement they are saying that no, it's North Africa and South Asia. So there itself there is a coherence problem. Third one is, it is committed to the bottom-up approach, encouraging the participation of local people in combating the desertification. So understand over here, any option that has 1 and 2 together will not be applicable because 1 and 2 are totally against the same thing. So this is gone. Now when you look at the rest of it, if it is, this is United Nations Convention to combat desertification. In its name itself, it is international. So if it's international in that sense, do you think this statement will be correct, that they will give financial resources to this specific area? And do you think the developed countries in the world will be okay with that? No. So second statement can be eliminated as it is. Now you're left with only 1 and 3. So 1 only, we have mentioned that, and when it comes to 3, it is committed to the bottom-up approach for encouraging the participation of local people in combating desertification. That is very much valid. Your answer to this question is 1 and 3 only. So the answer to this 2016 question is C. Next is a 2016 question which reads as, with reference to Agenda 21, sometimes seen in the news, consider the following statements. It is a global action plan for sustainable development. It originated in your World Summit on Sustainable Development held in Johannesburg 2002. First of all, understand here when you look at it, it's a global action plan for sustainable development is correct. But do you think it would be as late as 2002? No. This idea of your sustainable development and activities related to it came in your 1992 Earth Summit. Okay, so not this. The answer to this question is A. 1 only. Next, we have a 2016 question. Again, in 2016, there's a lot of UN related question because in 2015 is where your Paris Agreement and climate change related activities started happening. That is the reason why we have all of these questions coming in this manner. The question reads as, with reference to the agreement at the UNFCCC meeting in Paris in 2015, which of the following statements are correct? And the agreement was signed by all the member countries of the UN and it will go into effect in 2017. The agreement aims to limit the greenhouse gas emissions so that the rise in average global temperature by the end of this century does not exceed 2 degrees Celsius or even 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Finally, developed countries acknowledge their historical responsibility in global warming and committed to donate 1,000 billion a year from 2020 to help developing countries to cope with climate change. Talk about a very absurd statement being given. Do you think that third statement will be valid? No way. And where, okay, if at all they did agree to it, where is the 1,000 billion per year? It started from 2015, right? So do you think this would be correct? No. Okay, so any option which has 3 can be eliminated very easily. You do get the answer which is 2 only. Why is the first statement wrong? The first statement is wrong because no, not all the member countries of United Nations signed it. In fact, the primary requirement was just that 55 countries who are contributing to 55% of the global emissions of carbon dioxide should sign it. Once that got signed, the treaty came into effect. Understand? So, not all the member countries signed it. So, that statement is wrong. The only one that is correct is the second statement. So, the answer to this question is B, 2 only. Next, we have another 2016 question. The question reads as, consider the following statements. The International Solar Alliance was launched at the United Nations Climate Change Conference in 2015. The alliance includes all the member countries of the United Nations. Again, I want you to understand, it's very rarely that you have a treaty which has all the members. I think the one that is even closest to it would be maybe your Montreal Protocol. Okay. Other than that, it's very rare to have all the member countries signing up a United Nations treaty. So the second statement is wrong. Now, looking at the first statement, yes, it was launched at your UNFCCC meeting of 2015, and primarily it was focused on tropical and subtropical countries. So, even the question of all the people signing it was not raised. Why? Because it needed countries which had good amount of ability to create solar energy. So, the answer to this question is A, 1 only. The next is again a 2016 question. Look at those who wrote the exam in 2016 had such a good year. Why? Because every single current affair environment question was based on the meeting that had happened in 2015, which was your UNFCCC, the one that Paris Agreement got signed in. So again, this statement over here, this question over here, the term intended nationally determined contribution, INDC, is sometimes seen in the news in the context of option A is pledges made by the European countries to rehabilitate refugees from the war-affected Middle East. Even if such a thing was there, I do not think this would be something for the Middle East, because let's not even go into the international relations aspect of it, but this is not something that is of much interest to the European countries. It's a plan of action outlined by the countries of the world to combat climate change. It's the capital contributed by the member countries in the establishment of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Plan of action outlined by the countries of the world regarding sustainable development goals. Okay. The answer directly I would tell you is option B. Intended nationally determined contributions are the voluntary targets set by each country. It's a pledge given by each country in telling what is the level or what are they going to do so that their carbon emissions are going to get reduced. So, it's a plan of action outlined by the countries of the world to combat climate change. This is your correct answer. So, the answer to this question is B. Next, we have a 2016 question which reads as, what is Greenhouse Gas Protocol? It is an international accounting tool for government and business leaders to understand, quantify and manage greenhouse gas emissions. It is an initiative of United Nations to offer financial incentives to developing countries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to adopt eco-friendly technologies. Again, to its financial incentives, okay. It is an intergovernmental agreement ratified by all member countries of the United Nations to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to specified levels by 2022. It's one of the multilateral RED Plus initiatives hosted by World Bank. World Bank does host RED Plus initiatives, but this is not one of them. You know why this statement is wrong. Several landmines here and there. So the third statement reads as, it's an initiative of the United Nations to offer financial incentives to developing countries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. If it was that something, India would have been a beneficiary of it and we would have heard it quite often. That is not something that has happened. Now, as I said, World Bank does have RED Plus initiatives, Greenhouse Gas Protocol, which is something like a rule, or a protocol is a set of guidelines basically, right? So this is not that. Your answer is A. It's an international accounting tool for government and business leaders to understand, quantify and manage greenhouse gas emissions. Your answer to this question is A. Next is a 2016 question. These kind of questions will not come again. Why? Because it is all related to your Kyoto Protocol, and now since we have your Paris Agreement, your Kyoto is not considered to be so important now. So anyway, let's just look into the question. Consider the following pairs. Terms seen in news and their origin is what they said. They're saying Annex 1 countries, Cartagena Protocol. Certified emission reductions, Nagoya Protocol. Clean development mechanism, Kyoto Protocol. But the fact is, all three of them are related to only Kyoto Protocol. Okay, Cartagena and Nagoya are created by under your UNCCD and they focus on biosafety and biopiracy. Whereas your Annex 1 countries, certified emission reduction, clean development mechanism, all this is related to your climate change. And therefore, your answer over here is C, 3 only.